Love this podcast? Support this show through the Acast supporter feature. It's up to you how much you give, and there's no regular commitment. Just hit the link in the show description to support now.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the Cognitive Recalibration Podcast. As always, I'm your host Shravan. We have our co-host Tyrone here with us.
Hey everyone.
So we're in the end game.
I guess so.
So today we're going to do, we're going to do whatever it takes to not spoil Endgame. So this is a spoiler-free review. We're only going to talk about what we felt about the movie, nothing about the story. So if you haven't seen the movie, you can keep listening. We are going to do a more in-depth spoiler review later on, so maybe in a couple of days' time. So we know a lot of people, it's only just released in America, so a lot of people might not have seen it yet. So we're just doing a spoiler-free review for now. So walking into this movie, what were you expecting? And was it to your expectations, below your expectations, or above your expectations?
Like story-wise, or how good it was?
In terms of, both.
I probably was expecting a bit more of an action movie, I guess. But it ended up being a bit more of an emotional movie.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I think I was the same. I was expecting more something along the lines of Infinity War, but reverse. But what we got was more... It's really more of a drama than action. There is action in it, but a lot of it is mostly sort of conversations and character driven.
Would you say the action's better in Infinity War than it's in this? I would say there's some parts in Infinity War that are better.
I would say in terms of action, probably Infinity War was better. Probably had more memorable action sequences, but overall I think this is more memorable. It's more of an emotional movie. So I think it stays with you longer. That's why we were actually going to watch this. We watched this a couple of days ago and we were going to review it yesterday, but I needed more time to sort of digest it. And we're going to go watch it again at some stage, but I kind of don't want to go straight back yet because well, if you don't care about the MCU, it's not an emotional movie for you and you won't really care. Yeah, well, I think if you've seen Infinity War, you'll probably care a little bit, but you really do have to watch. If you're an MCU fan and you've seen every single movie, I think this will be very emotional for you.
If you've been on board for at least 5 years, I guess, then, I think if you've been on board since the first Avengers, then it'll take an emotional toll on you. And even those who kind of know these characters or they've seen some of the movies, I think they'll still get invested in the story. But if you're coming into this fresh, I think it's going to be tough. I think if you're watching this without watching any of the Marvel movies, which who's going to do that anyway? But if you've done that, then you won't understand what's happening. And if you're watching this without watching Infinity War, you also won't know what's happening.
Yeah, I think at the very minimum, you have to have seen Infinity War. And obviously, if you want the full experience, you got to watch every single Marvel movie, which you did. You actually did over the last month.
I watched every single one again, which was hard because some of them aren't that good.
Well, that's the thing. So going into this movie, my biggest fear was that, because I really enjoyed Infinity War, and my feeling was that, will this movie retroactively or retrospectively make Infinity War worse because of what they do in this movie, which is what happened to me with Force Awakens and Last Jedi. So retroactively, I think Force Awakens, I really enjoyed it when it came out, but after watching Last Jedi, it doesn't feel as good because everything they set up in Last Jedi just didn't pay off the way I wanted it to, and obviously a lot of people wanted it to in Last Jedi.
I don't mind The Last Jedi though. I think it's alright. I think it's a good movie, well made. Except for the Camel Casino part, but other than that, everything else is good.
But what they sort of built up didn't pay off. Whereas I think this is actually the opposite. I think it retrospectively makes Infinity War even better, the way it pays off. And not just Infinity War, but it actually makes
I think it makes
the rest of the MCU better. Even the weaker films, it makes better.
I don't think it makes Infinity War any better. I think Infinity War was already really good, but it does make some of the weaker films in the MCU better.
Because it ties up all the characters together. It's really more of a character-driven movie. So it is 3 hours.
In other reviews that I've read or seen so far, they have said that the first kind of 40 minutes can be slow. I think we've only seen it once, so we were in the moment for the first 40 minutes, so it did seem slow for me.
There were parts that I thought were slow, mainly because I went in thinking that this was going to be like action from the word go, but it wasn't. So it really was a slow burn for the first hour. Not that I was bored or anything, but it just wasn't what I was expecting.
Yeah, well, I was in the moment, so I kind of didn't feel like it was slow, so I would have to... On rewatch, I think that would be something to see if it makes the movie worse or better.
Yeah.
Because I remember it was the same for Avengers 1. When I first watched it, I'm like, oh, this is awesome. But on rewatch, the first hour can be a bit slow.
Yeah.
And there is a bit of build-up and nothing much happens. It could end up being like that, I guess.
Yeah, but I think the first hour has to be there because of what happened in Infinity War, and it kind of has to sort of sink in, I think. The way they did it, they had to do it that way, because then the payoff at the end works out better.
Yeah.
If they hadn't spent that time in the first hour sort of doing the more character moments and more of the drama. So it's much more of a drama than I definitely expected. That being said, it does have some comedy as well.
Yeah, and it's still a comic book movie. It's still got people punching each other in the face and stuff.
It's got all of that. It's got big fights. It's got all of that.
It's not like it's got none of that.
But where I think for me, where it hits home or makes it a great movie is the character moments. And that's what the MCU really built itself up on, because when you think of the MCU, okay, sometimes you remember the big, like the Civil War airport scene, or like the Avengers New York scene. Like there's obviously some great action sequences, but the things I remember are all the character moments. So when Tony Stark and Cap they're in that meeting room in Civil War and they have that conversation, and they start off sort of liking each other, or not liking each other, but they're okay with each other, and then they just snap. I remember that. Or some of the conversations they have in Avengers when they're all standing in the room just before Loki sort of attacks them, I think. Or Loki has been captured and they're in that room sort of all having an argument. I remember that. Or even a scene like in Age of Ultron when they're all trying to pick up the hammer. It's those sort of moments that I remember. And they've always kept the characters... They've never felt out of character. None of them. In the whole time we've been with them. Especially the original Avengers.
Original 6.
Who all play a big role in this one.
They're the main characters.
Yeah, in this
movie.
One. Yeah.
If you're expecting other people to be in the forefront, it's probably not going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's definitely for the original Avengers, original 6.
And there's some we probably shouldn't say who the other... There's other really good characters as well.
If you're expecting more of Thanos, though, Infinity War was the Thanos movie. This is an Avengers movie. So, I mean, without spoiling anything, this is the Avengers movie. I thought the writing was really good. The direction, you just got to think of how much pressure was on these guys. So, Joe and Anthony Russo. This feels like a finale. Like, obviously, there'll be more movies after this, but there's a sense of, like, this is it sort of thing.
Which is another thing that kind of hits home emotionally, because it's like you've been following this story for 10 or so years, and then it's finished basically. So this is the end, and it very much feels like the end. There's no stingers at the end, like, oh, this is to come or anything like that.
I think they did that on purpose. So they wanted this to feel like it was the climax, because every Marvel movie, there's always something that's going to happen next, but after this movie, I don't know what's going to happen next.
Yeah, exactly.
It might be an unpopular opinion, but when I was walking out of this movie, I thought I liked Infinity War better. But as time has gone on, so I've thought about it in the last day or two, had some conversations with people that have already seen it, and I think it's as equal to Infinity War for me at the moment. And if I watch it again, maybe I'll like it even more than Infinity War. It's just that when you walk out of this, so Infinity War, you walk out of this
and you're pumped.
You walk out of Infinity War and you're pumped, and you want to see what's going to happen next because you know they're going to come back.
You want them to beat Thanos' ass. Yeah.
So you're looking forward to that, but this you don't have that feeling. You have more of a.
It's like closure, but it's like
it's kind of more of a sad.
Yeah.
Definitely took a toll on us because we watched it in a big group on opening night, so it was very packed theater, and we just walked out and we kind of had a couple of conversations, but we weren't really. None of us were really in the position to like talk that much. We were kind of just still thinking about it.
Well, Infinity War is a better movie for casual comic book viewers. You could go into Infinity War, not really care that much about the MCU and be like, yeah, awesome. Thor smashed people and it was fun. And they had a big fight and that was cool. But this, it doesn't feel like that at the end. Most of the beats that they hit, you have to know stuff about the MCU, otherwise you won't get it. Infinity War is more of an action comic book movie. This is more of a emotional movie. They're totally different. And I feel like if you don't care about the characters, then you won't like this movie very much. But saying that, I think this movie, not as many people will probably rewatch it because it's so emotional, whereas the other one was a bit more enjoyable.
Well, over the last year or so, both of us have been thinking about what might happen in this movie through this podcast and just outside of this podcast as well. So I think not just us, but a lot of people had theories about this movie, and I think I probably have 14 million theories of how this movie would have panned out, but the one that we got was the one that I actually didn't predict. There were parts of this movie that I sort of saw coming, but there were parts that I definitely did not see coming. So they did well to surprise you, but not do it just for the sake of surprising you. Like, it still fits in within this world, referencing like Last Jedi again.
You really don't like that movie, dude. Everyone keeps shitting on The Last Jedi.
But I think the way they did it, I think there was no better way they could have done it. I wanted a few character moments that didn't happen, but it was fair enough. Like, that's just me being a fan of a certain character.
But there's so much fan service in this movie.
Yeah,
like,
there is.
Good fan service, not shitty fan service.
If anyone's going to do fan service, and if any movie's going to have fan service, it's this movie. Because usually fan service, they do it as a bit of a shortcut. Instead of taking the time to build the emotional depth, they just want to kind of chuck something out there, like as a shortcut to try to please fans. A lot of movies have done that in the past, but Marvel haven't done that because they've spent 11 years building up this universe. So if anyone's going to do fan service, it's Marvel.
Yeah, there's it's probably like 20 or so moments that we've been waiting for 10 years, and they kind of all show up in this movie. So
yeah. So do we recommend that people watch it? I guess we do.
Nah.
Don't worry about it. Yeah.
But I would say it's a really good experience watching all of them and then watching this one.
So if anyone has 54 hours of time.
If you got a lot of time on your hands,
go for it. I didn't watch every movie. I think I only watched, in the lead up to this, I think I actually only watched Captain America, the first one.
Yeah.
For some reason, and Infinity War.
You could probably make a list of which movies are most important for it.
Yeah, probably Guardians.
I think the Russo brothers, the Russo brothers, made a list of the most important ones to watch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's on their Twitter feed. But watch all of them, and it's a better experience.
I think you almost have to watch all of them, though.
Almost. Almost. There's some more important than others.
Yeah, there's some, but I think for the ultimate experience, you really do have to watch all of them.
It's like a 22 movie series, basically. Had a very Lord of the Rings feel about it.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it was, I guess if you were to describe it, it would be like epic, I guess.
But I feel like this hit me harder than Lord of the Rings. I was young when I watched Lord of the Rings, but this.
And Lord of the Rings, you know what's going to happen, because there's a book. Whereas this, you don't know where they're going to take it.
Yeah,
there's obviously comics, but the movies don't follow the comics. So they could have done anything. I guess we always do an Infinity Stone rating.
It's got all the Infinity
Stones.
That's not a spoiler. It's got all of them.
But even without that, I think
it has space.
I think it ticks all the boxes, really. without spoiling anything, I think it probably gets a 6.
I'm just thinking if it has all of them. Yeah, I think it probably has all of them.
It's definitely got some more than others, for sure, but I think it has all of them.
Yeah. Maybe a bit of reality lacking in there, but the rest of it...
Yeah. Oh, no, I reckon the first hour makes up for that reality.
Okay.
What were you expecting, really? 6 Infinity Stones for this one. I did want to say, in terms of the MCU, this is obviously 11 years of experience, and over the last 11 years, they've really been like events, not just like movies that you go to, but they're events that you kind of catch up with friends and family for. Like for the first Avengers, I'll give you an example. So back then, I was unemployed. I graduated from uni, but I was unemployed, and some of my friends were also unemployed, so we kind of like got together and watched the first Avengers movie. It was like bringing together a group of unemployed chemical engineers to watch. They were bringing together the Avengers, and we were bringing together unemployed chemical engineers. So we watched the first Avengers movie, and that was a stressful period of our lives, but that, you know, those 3 hours that we caught up, it was one of the happiest moments in that year, and something that I still remember today. So, you know, the MCU has given us moments like that over many years. So I think people will not just remember these as movies, but as events in their lives and as moments, as memorable moments. Obviously, they've brought together our favorite superheroes on the screen, but they've also brought people together in cinemas to watch these movies. We're all very thankful to Kevin Feige and all the guys at Marvel for giving us these memories.
Yeah, that was something.
Yeah, we usually don't get emotional on this podcast, but it's an emotional movie, so there you go.
The question is, are you going to be as invested in it going forward now?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I don't think I care about it as much anymore.
Yeah, we'll talk about it more in our spoiler review, but it'll just not be the same.
Yeah.
It'll just not be the same after this one. Because everything was leading up to this, really, in the story.
Unless they do something crazy coming up and it really gets us pumped, can't see myself being as invested as I have been for the past 10 years. I would be surprised if they could get through another 2 phases. I reckon the next phase, and then they'll can it for a while.
I think it's good that they just don't keep going on forever, because there will come a stage where the quality will
decline.
Fall. Yeah.
They have to stop eventually. Yeah. They can't keep going on.
Yeah.
It's impossible. Even if they stop doing it for like 5 years or something, they'll have to do something.
Just give it a break. I guess those who haven't seen the movie, definitely go watch it. It's the movie event of the year, of the decade, whatever you want to call it. It is.
Unless you really like Star Wars.
Force Awakens was an event, for sure. But I think this, for our generation anyway, this is probably the event, the movie event of our lifetime so far anyway.
Well, this is bigger for me just because I like the MCU.
Yeah.
But I know other people will probably be more keen for Fast and Furious, Hobbs and Shaw.
You've pretty much like grown up on it, because I was already an adult by the time Iron Man came out.
Yeah, I was 14 or something. So yeah.
You really have grown up with it.
I remember in year 12, I was trying to get everyone hyped for Avengers and no one cared. But everyone cares now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because you were in year 12 and I was, I just finished uni. I remember we went to watch it. I watched it with my friends, and then we went to watch it again with our parents, actually.
I had to wait till my exams finished to watch it, I think. So,
and we took our parents to watch it again. Yeah. And the thing with these movies is, it might just be our parents, but our parents actually really enjoy watching them as well. So it kind of...
They enjoy some of them.
Yeah, it appeals to some of them. They're just like, you know, Ant-Man. They're like, oh, so he got bitten by an ant and became Ant-Man. Not all superheroes work like that. But they also enjoy them. And I think that they're the kind of movies that if you do go in as a group, like, it's a good group experience. Like, you have a good time together.
Because there's comedy in it and it's funny. It's a good time. It's not just serious and kind of... Yeah. I think they're good event movies. Yeah. And they have been for a long period. Probably since phase 1. For phase 1, I know a lot of people didn't care.
Well, they started pretty small in phase 1. Like Iron Man, I didn't watch Iron Man in the cinema, and I didn't watch Incredible Hulk.
I think I've watched every single one except for the first two in cinemas. So Iron Man 2, Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Avengers, and then going forward.
I think I only missed the first two as well, but I watched Avengers. These are also the very few movies which I watched multiple times in the cinema.
Yeah.
I think I watched the first Avengers 3 times. Second Avengers, this interesting story about second Avengers. So we were planning together with all of my work friends, about like 10, 12 of us. We were all going to go to Avengers Age of Ultron, and I organized it. I bought the tickets and everything. And in the last minute, I didn't go because I was going to go with who's now my wife. I promised to go with her first. So I had to ditch all those guys, watch it 2 days later so I could watch it with my wife.
I think I've watched pretty much every single one after Avengers, close to or on the first day it released. Pretty much. There's a couple that I've missed out on the first day, but the rest of them I get to them on the first day. Sometimes I've watched it by myself because no one wants to come watch it with me. But yeah, I've been heavily invested in it. The one I've seen the least is Captain Marvel and Ant-Man and the Wasp because they just came out, and I've seen those twice. I've seen everything else at least 3 or 4 times.
I've only seen I saw Captain Marvel twice in the cinema. I think Ant-Man and the Wasp I've only seen once. I think that's the only one I saw once. But the rest of them I saw at least twice. Some 3 times.
And I think I'm probably still going to be watching these well into the future. It'll be like a good marathon that you could do, like a 22 movie series.
Yeah, it'll take a while.
Yeah, well,
it's like a long weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not in one day, just kind of watching it over like a month or something.
But yeah, it's a great achievement. Cinematic achievement. I don't think
I don't think it'll win any awards or anything, but
I don't think that matters. I think what matters is that the people that actually enjoy this stuff, like us,
will enjoy
the fans.
Yeah,
I think they will really enjoy it.
And it's made for us.
It's made, it's not made for awards or anything like that. It's made to please the fans, and that's
the
exactly
people
what
that
it
like
does.
the MCU.
Yeah,
like we went to watch it with a whole group of people, and there were some people that hadn't seen the MCU that much.
Yeah,
and they didn't like it all that much. And it's not their fault. It's just, it's not a story that you can enjoy just going straight into it.
It's not accessible to everyone. Yeah, you really have to have watched the previous ones, and you have to enjoy this sort of storytelling as well. It's not for everyone.
Yeah.
But most people that did come with us did enjoy it. For some reason, everything surrounding this movie for us has been quite stressful. So everything from buying the tickets. So the tickets came out 3 weeks ago, and we bought them the day they came out, and it was very stressful because we were looking at seats, and then we'd come back and the seats would be taken, and the shows would be full. So we managed to get some seats finally, and then on the day, like this movie, watching this movie has become like my end game. Like the stuff that got in the way of us watching this movie was incredible. So we got there. I got there very early. I got there before everyone actually. And we were going to have dinner before we went to the movie. The movie was at 8:30, and you went to buy me dinner while I waited, and I'm vegetarian, so I think you ordered correctly, but they gave me a chicken one.
They gave me a chicken one.
They're at Schnitz, so whoever that person was, if they're listening to this,
they're probably not. Let's be honest, they're not.
Yeah, well, they weren't listening to your order, so I doubt they're going to be listening to this. They got it wrong, and they gave me a chicken one, so I had to. And this was about half an hour before the movie was about to start. I thought, we'd be good. I'd be, fully fed. We'd be ready to go in. 20 minutes early, we'll all be good. And then we find out that there's meat in it. I had to run and get a burrito.
And I was out of $13, which I no longer have anymore.
Is that how much it costs for one?
It cost $13. Yeah, it was
for one.
Yeah,
that's a rip.
Yeah.
If anyone from Schnitz is listening,
you need to change your prices.
Yeah. But anyway, I ran and got a burrito, came back just in time. Then we went up to get popcorn, and there was massive queues, and that took us time. That took us 20 minutes. So by the time we got popcorn, it was 8:30, and the trailers had started. We walked in, and there was these 3 or 4 guys sitting right in the middle of our seats.
We're like, what is going on here? Like, what's happening? And we had 14 of us. So, like, there was 14 of us standing around waiting to find seats. And I looked at their ticket and everything seemed to be right. Like, I looked at their seat numbers and it was right. And then they're like, no, we're not moving. They weren't very good about it. If those guys are listening, you know who you are.
They're probably not listening either.
We had to go back down to the ticket stall and ask the lady, like, what's going on? We've got these tickets. They're definitely right. We bought them on the first day. We know we got these tickets. And then she went up and she checked those guys' tickets. So we went back in the cinema. We like stood in front of all these people that were sitting down, and
yeah, the trailers were happening as well. It felt very awkward. Yeah.
And then she looked at their tickets and theirs was 8:30 a.m. and ours was 8:30 p.m. So we were at the right show. They unfortunately missed their show by 12 hours. Felt sorry for those guys because they had prime seats as well, but they were just late.
Felt sorry, but also didn't feel sorry because they didn't get out of our seats. And they did try and help us as well. They just sat there the whole time.
Yeah.
And me and Shravan had to go do all the legwork.
And then finally everyone got seated, and the movie hadn't started yet, thankfully, so there were still trailers happening. So we all sat down. I sat down. We had 2 rows of seats since there were so many of us. I was sitting in the front row, you were sitting in the back row. And I was sitting sort of on the edge of all the people that we knew. And I was sitting next to this girl who also might be listening. She obviously wasn't well. I shouldn't be mean. Like, she wasn't well. She was sneezing and sniffing and, you know, blowing her nose and stuff. But it was really getting on my nerves.
The problem with watching this movie in a packed theater was that there was a lot of sounds going on, like people eating their popcorn and like people opening chips packets and stuff like that.
Scrunching their packets, and it was like...
There's a lot of sound going on.
And this movie, like, as we said, in the first hour, there's literally not much action. So it's not very loud. It's a pretty quiet movie. For the first hour.
I remember the first scene. It's very quiet, and there was some guy eating popcorn, and he was the loudest popcorn eater I've ever. He was obviously eating with his mouth open, and he did stop eating as well. He just kept eating for the whole movie. I don't know how big the popcorn was, but yeah.
I actually didn't eat or drink anything for 3 hours because I was too anxious.
Yeah, I did. I bought a little novelty Thanos cup.
Yeah, you might have seen it on our Instagram.
But I didn't drink from it for the whole movie because I didn't want to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, I definitely needed to go at the end of the movie though. Look, about 2.5 hours in, I was like, I need to go to the toilet, but I didn't go.
No, I didn't. I was good because I went dry. I went dry since 6 o'clock, and then basically didn't have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah. And there was some guy who walked in, like, going, it's Endgame. We're in the Endgame.
Yeah, he kept shouting.
We're in the Endgame. But
then just before the movie started, he was like, woo! Everyone's like, shut up.
But the interesting thing is, he was pretty quiet for the rest of the movie.
For the rest of the movie, he was quiet. I think he was just excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we watched Infinity War, similar crowd. Everyone was really excited, but...
There was no cheering in this movie.
In Infinity War, there was a lot of cheering.
Yeah.
But in this movie... There wasn't much.
And I don't think there's moments to really cheer for. Maybe one or two.
Yeah.
But in Infinity War, there's very distinct kind of, this is happening moments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are a couple of fan service moments that probably, you know, I think everyone was a bit shocked as well. So they weren't like in the mood to cheer.
Yeah.
There were a couple of moments that probably were made for the fans. But I think Infinity War probably had more of those than this.
Yeah. But there's definitely lots of laughs, and everyone was laughing.
Yeah, there was some laughs. So it's not all doom and gloom.
And it's classic Marvel comedy, which if you don't like, then you won't like it. But if you like it, then you'll laugh. I guess we didn't really talk about the actors. We'll do it in spoilers.
All I'll say is all the actors were brilliant.
Yeah. Original six. And Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd's great.
Yeah, Paul Rudd was great.
Yeah.
Everyone was good. Yeah. I don't think there was a single person that wasn't good. And the thing with this cast is all of them, I think the reason they're so good in it is because they don't take this for granted either. I know some actors are, you know, arrogant and they don't really care about the audience.
I think Robert Downey Jr. is arrogant, but he also doesn't take it for granted.
I think that's just he appears to be arrogant, but when you hear him talk about Iron Man and the MCU, he's very humble about it. You know, he's the one that started it all. So he definitely brings it in this movie. He was great in this movie. So was Chris Evans. I think those two are the
standouts, but everyone else was really good.
I think Karen Gillan is very good. Yeah.
She was really good too. Nebula, I think she brings her best performance in this movie.
Through the whole MCU, yeah, I reckon.
Yeah. But yeah, there's not a single actor that wasn't good.
I'm trying to think if there wasn't. If there was someone that was shit. I don't think so.
Yeah. No, to be honest, there's not a single thing that I can say was
there's some child actors that are okay.
There wasn't a single thing, any aspect of it that wasn't good in this movie. The music was great. The visuals were brilliant. Just everything was.
I wish they had a bit more of the Avengers theme in it.
Yeah, it was lacking a bit.
Yeah.
It actually was lacking a bit, now that you mentioned it.
I wish they had a bit more of that.
Yeah. But they don't want to overdo that theme as well. But yeah, everything was good. There's not a single thing that I could say wasn't good. I'll talk about it more in spoilers, but I wanted some stuff to happen that didn't happen, but that's just me being a fan and theorizing.
You can't get everything.
Yeah.
I guess that's why we should not theorize too much, because then you get more disappointed than you should be. But if you can theorize and not be disappointed, then...
Okay, I guess we'll close it up there. You'll get a spoiler review from us very shortly. Won't be in a couple of days. We're going to watch it again before we do a spoiler review. We might have a couple of guests come on as well if they feel like it.
Yeah,
that will be a long one. We're just thinking, will it be as long as the movie?
Maybe not. That's long. That's too long.
I don't think anyone will listen to us for that long.
Yeah.
We'll try to keep it short. We haven't done a who am I for this episode.
Oh yeah, hit me with a quick one.
Yeah, no, I actually did have one, but I thought we'd talk Endgame first and then jump into, because people are coming, they don't want to listen to us talk about who am I. But I've got a who am I. I was born with blonde hair, but Loki cut it off as a prank.
Okay.
Do you have it now? He hired trolls to replace it, and when I wore my new hair, it turned black. Tired of my tears over this matter, my parents sent me to undergo training to become a warrior. I dated the prince of my realm as an adult and pledged to marry him. However, I died during the end of a world event on my planet. I was since resurrected by the prince of my realm and fought alongside him in many battles after that. I am 6 feet 2 inches tall and weigh 425 pounds. Who am I?
425? Jeez, that's heavy. She's Asgardian, isn't she? Is it a she?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it Sif?
Yeah.
She's heavy. She's a heavy girl.
I think Asgardians are just naturally big, and she's tall as well, 6 foot 2.
6 foot, but 6 foot 2 and 420. That's fat. That's not skinny. That's fat. Yeah.
I think it's just their Asgardian DNA.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. So if people have any questions for us before our spoiler review, and if you've seen it, just send us your reactions, what you feel about this movie. How do they contact us?
So we've got Facebook at Cognitive Recalibration, same on Instagram, at Twitter at C Recalibration, and on Gmail at Cognitive Recalibration Podcast at gmail.com.
Yep, and we're on all podcasting platforms now, so please do give us a subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform. The other thing is we update everything on our Facebook page, so please also give us a like on our Facebook page so you keep up to date with our latest episodes. But yeah, that is Endgame for now. We'll be back with spoilers and more in-depth analysis in the next episode. It's really hard to talk about this movie without spoiling it as well, so now understand what all the actors were going through in their press interviews.
And they've I think it's a bit stricter on this movie than the last movie on just not spoiling it. Like everyone's, there's like signs everywhere. And
the other thing is, I think Disney did a really good job with the trailers for this movie because they really don't give away anything.
Yeah. You might have heard rumors that what's shown in the trailers is the first 20 minutes.
I don't think that's true.
I think it's true. The first 2 trailers. First 20, maybe like
there
10 seconds out of the first 20 minutes.
There were shots. I think they meant they had 20 minutes of footage from anywhere in the movie. I don't think it was the first 20 minutes.
Most of it's from the first 20 minutes, though.
Yeah. There were stuff from the other parts of the movie. But yeah, they really didn't show much. And the stuff that, all the fan service stuff, all the big moments are not in the trailers, which is really good. I think we'll close it up there and...
See you later.
All right, see you later. We'll see you in the next one.
See you in the next one.
Bye.